Hey guys, what's up? Sorry about the lighting. I'm still trying to get some curtains because I only have blinds for these things. This is just like a little fake see-through poster in the back. It's not really helpful. Anyway, this is a video on my ideal Bible. Okay, this is how the Old Testament was known to the founding early church fathers and everyone who was studying the Bible in those days. I'll put a reference in the link of everyone who confirms that the Old Testament should be 22 books, not 39. We have totally different divisions and even orders. Like you see right here, Joshua and Judges were considered one book. And the Book of Kingdoms wasn't considered 1 Kings, 2 Kings. It was the Book of Kingdoms. That was one book, as well as the 12 prophets. And that wasn't at the end of the Old Testament either. That was in the middle, right here. And as you can see, the bottom section, I had to kind of cut space over here. Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and then Chronicles. Chronicles should be the very last book in the Old Testament, even historically. Like, it's literally the chronicles of everything that happened after all the prophets did their stuff. It should not end with the last of the 12 prophets, Amos and Malachi. It's just incredible. So this should be 22 books, which corresponds to the 22 letters of the original Hebrew alphabet. And now with the New Testament, it should be 27 books, okay, in this order. And I can give you another link, of course. It's an amazing page called Restoring the Bible, and it's just how the orders have been mucked up because, once again, the church got their hands on it. So, after the four Gospels is the book of Acts, of course, which is kind of like the New Testament Pentateuch, which is what the Old Testament first 5 books are called, the Pentateuch, the Torah. So in this sense, the first 5 books really set the mark, and these are all Jesus' words too, of course. And then we should start with James, not the book of Romans, because Paul was a Gentile, right? Paul, who was first Saul, was an evil guy, then changed. However, James and Peter and John and Jude, those were all Jews who were already following in the footsteps of Jesus as true believers, whereas Saul and everyone else afterward had to be converted later. And also, as far as content, the book of James is much simpler to understand than the book of Romans, which talks about predestination and all these sort of deeper concepts, whereas the book of James kind of starts out with like, yeah, we still need to do works. Even though there's grace, we have to concentrate on works. And then they went into more grace and predestination type stuff with Paul's letters and the Catholic epistles. And by Catholic, I don't mean the Vatican. I mean the word Catholic. It's considered to be general or universal. But anyway, this is what the New Testament order should be, and this is what the Old Testament order should be. Now, if we get into translations, of course, I will tell you, obviously the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. However, the Hebrew texts have been corrupted, so all we have is the Septuagint to get the true words. I don't care if it's in Spanish or Chinese, it's about the source of the material that matters. So while I acknowledge the Old Testament, of course, was written in Hebrew, the current Masoretic texts, which date to AD 900, do not reflect the same prophecies or the same literal words as the Septuagint. And obviously we've gone into that. We're going to get deeper into it too later on. But anyway, I'll send a link, but I just want you to visualize it. Sorry about that glare. This is the best way I could show you, at least with this type of whiteboard. So there's 22 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New Testament. What does that make? 49. And what's one of the most spiritual numbers in the whole Bible? 7. Okay? So 49, square root of 49 is 7. So it's very interesting. I'm just now getting into the Apocrypha. That's why I did not include it into this. But since my studies of the Septuagint, I'm kind of more considering the Apocrypha. And if it was included, it would be 81 books, which is the square root of 9, which is also still a holy number. But still, I've confirmed this before, and everyone else, they just mucked up the order, and we're used to it. So as far as the Old Testament, the Septuagint's the most accurate, even though it was written in Hebrew. And the New Testament is the Textus Receptus, not the Westcott and Hort manuscripts. Take it easy.